influencers intentionally do not reply back for 3 days. Right? I was like, whoa, मतलब बहुत धंधा calling and you saying ना 3 दिन तक जवाब नहीं देगा.
I don't think an influencer can reach anywhere without at least saying a basic courtesy of responding.
Of course.
I also personally feel tremendous pressure in ROI. Like, even if I was to say XYZ, I'm not really going to be able to promise you when you make it back.
Okay.
When you know how when a kid is becoming an engineer, you say in the first 5 years, this is the projection of the salary you're going to make. In that respect, there's nothing set in stone.
Of course.
It's a very personal, everybody has one. So
Correct.
That's what it is. So in that respect, I mean, these are things that people need to actually consider before they ask as well as before they dish it out.
Right. So true.
Because I've seen my husband's journey as an entrepreneur. So I have a tremendous respect for people who have guts, who say, you know what, this is what I love and I'm going to do this. I think they deserve all the support in the world.
How would you charge them? Let's say you decide to charge कि आज के बाद पैसे लगे. Hello. Very good evening. Super duper good evening, everyone. Let's fire up today's episode. Before I bring that person on stage, all right, today we have a very interesting one. Let's walk through how, and why did we initiate our Qoruz platform, all right? So we went on Qoruz last Thursday. We went on Qoruz and we started looking for content creators, influencers in the micro category. The definition of micro was people who have anywhere around 10,000 to 50,000 followers on Instagram. All right, that's the approach that we took. And I'm going to share my screen. We went to Qoruz. I'm going to log in once more. All right. Once we logged in, we are in season 2. We are selling biscuits. All right. So we came over here and we searched for food and drink. All right. We did a search. Within search, we added a location that I'm looking for an influencer in, let's say, Gurgaon and Delhi. All right. Apply filters. I'm looking at all genders. Followers should be micro. All right. This is how Qoruz has broken down the, or has bifurcated all influencers and content creators. So we went with micro and we didn't select a Qoruz score. Yes, we did this. All right. We did an age range of the influencers audience. All right. And yeah, I think so. That was about it. Yes, we did do this. So 25, 34, 45. Yeah. This is the filters that we had applied, and we arrived on these influencers. All right. Now, based on their engagement and various other things, but the most important, their Qoruz score. Right. Qoruz does a lot of backend check and algorithms and all of that to finally come up with a Qoruz score. And amongst these, content creators, influencers, we arrived at a list of 7. Right. Now, the name of this campaign was Crunch. Right. And the reason why it was Crunch is because of this video. Right. Now, again, our guest is already here. I'm hoping you're watching this. This is the content. So I was in Mumbai a few weeks ago, and I got my family members to shoot this. Right. So I shot this video. I didn't shoot it. My daughter shot it. And the emphasis that we wanted to come out with this was that you're taking a crunch and it's a happy feeling. Right. So that was the objective of this video. I'm going to play it for everyone to see what the video was. Please don't laugh. For a recap, this is Shana's cousin. This is Shana's sister. This is the sister's husband. This is Shana's elder brother. This is my bhabhi, and this is my elder brother. Right? Like we say, right? Chandresh, like you said, entrepreneurship is a crazy game. It always starts with friends and family. We didn't take money from them, but we definitely took their video. So this was the video that we created. Right? Now, we advertised that video, right, on Facebook and Instagram. I'm just going to open my dashboard and I'll show you that respective campaign that we did and the results of that campaign. All right. It was so again, Sudhanshu and Anu will come and share the rest of the details of the campaign, but this is what we did, right? So we created a brand awareness campaign targeting people in Delhi NCR, right? We put a budget of 1,500 rupees and we targeted for highest volume through play, right? That someone should watch our video at least for 15 seconds, right? Our total video duration is 27 seconds. Now, if you look at today itself, right? Or, let's go back. Okay, let's look at today's data in isolation, that out of this 27 seconds video, how many people watched how much, right? So we've got 54,000 impressions, and our 2 seconds, right? The first 2 seconds was played by 14,000 people, right? First 3 seconds was played by 30,000 people, right? And yeah, these are real numbers, right? The first 25% were played by 23%, 23,000 people, right? This is just today's data. The next up till 50%, 17,000 people saw this video, right? 50% is 27 seconds ka aadha, right? So that becomes somewhere around 13 odd seconds, right? 13 seconds that people saw this much, right? Then it dropped drastically, but this is still a very healthy number. 5,285 people saw this video, 75%. 2,552 saw 95%, and 100% people saw this ad 2,354 times, right? Now, let's look at the maximum data, right? This is beautiful. This is beautiful. 1,47,000 people saw 25%, 98,000 people saw 50%, 43,000 people saw 75%, and 95% people saw 17,483 videos were played for 95%, and 15,000 people were played this video, watched this video 100% of the time. Now, why are these particular numbers important? Because one is choosing a shallow audience, right? That I want to target people who watch 25% of the video, right? They might not be completely interested, but this audience, right? 15,441, they are they are an audience who actually want to, are interested in the crunch, right? Again, we've had, we've had a share bit of comments on our Facebook ads. There was one guy who said, actors to achhe le lete. And I was like, I replied back in the comments saying that, I wanted to add this text in the ad that no actors were paid for this video. None of them are paid actors. So that's what we added. That was my reply to him. Someone also said, why would you add artificial crunch sound, right? And I didn't have a reply for him. The only thing I did in this video was remove the background hissing sound, right? That's the only thing that we did. We didn't add any other artificial crunch to the audio, right? So that's where we are now. Based on that, we reached out to, we created a pool of these influencers, right? Who were these influencers, right? Uh, yes. So there was Zainab from Mumbai, Priyanka from India, Parul Pratap from Gurgaon, Riddhi from Delhi, Mansi from Delhi, Delhi Wale from Delhi, and Mizan Siddiqui, he's called Bhukkad, right, from New Delhi. Thankfully, I called up all of them and everyone answered my call. However, all of them have agreed to, help us with creating content and pushing on their social media at no cost, right? That's the best part for a startup, when content creators with such heavy followership, right? And these, remember, these were we had selected them basis on their high Qoruz score, right? We didn't want to go below 7, right? So these are all 7+ Qoruz score content creators and influencers. So our dear guest, you were selected from this, right? You were a part of our initial first content creators and help influencers, who's going to help us push our sales further, or at least create content with which we'll be able to push our sales further. Without any further ado, I'm going to call on stage our dear friend.
Hi.
Hi, Parul.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Very, very well.
Super, super. Very, very warm welcome to our
Thank you.
home.
I tried my best to change the name. It kept, to me, it's still showing as my name. So I don't know.
No problem. No problem.
It's a Zoom thing.
How are you doing?
Very well. Today's been a good day.
Today has been a good day.
Yeah.
So awesome. So we want to know, why was your day a good one? While diving deeper into what exactly do you do?
So at the core of it, I'm actually a professional chef.
Wow.
And I have a restaurant in New Delhi. It's called Music and Mountains.
Beautiful.
And I am very restricted in terms of the things that I cook, because the restaurant is a continental, mainly European, French sort of restaurant.
Okay.
So I actually needed an outlet for where I could cook everything else. So all the stuff I bake and all the Asian food I make and stuff like that.
Sure.
So that's the other aspect. There were times in my career as a woman chef from 22 years ago that I didn't have steady jobs. So
Wow.
I did a lot of food styling. I did a lot of food writing. And obviously, when a platform like, say, Instagram came up, there was suddenly such a huge demand for food stylists and content creators, content writers.
Correct.
Content creators is still a newer term. But as far as written content was concerned, or visual content was concerned, it was a great way to put out everything you can't do at a professional level.
Beautiful.
So it was leisure come sort of an outlet to be more creative.
Of course, of course. Shrish says your food photos are too good.
Oh, that's so kind. Please. Oh,
So,
wow.
thank you so much, Shrish. Thank you so much. So शुरुआत से you were interested in food, or this just happened one day?
No. It was actually from a very young age, because my mom was a home caterer.
Okay.
And obviously in the 90s, there wasn't like, being a chef wasn't a thing for women. But
Sure.
fortunately, I come from a very progressive family.
Right.
And ITC had a wonderful, still does. It's in fact ranked among the top in the world.
Correct.
In Manipal.
Okay.
And when I was doing my 12th, that January, I think they had an ad in the paper. And I had my boards in March. And my dad actually brought a cutout, and he said, this still seems like a more legit way of doing it, because it's a degree course.
Wow.
Versus if you, now that I'm older, I can say he basically said, IIHM वैसे all India exam होते हैं, मुझे पता नहीं तुम्हारा होगा क्या. So let's be practical and let's be real.
Sure.
Let's think of going in for a private college sort of thing.
Okay.
And I was so blessed that they could do that for me.
Beautiful.
So yeah. So yeah, I think must have been 16 or 17. I was quite sure.
Wow. You were quite sure that you want to be in the food ecosystem.
Absolutely. There's no other way. This
Wow.
this this industry, even though I've seen it over 2 decades, you still have to love it. There's really no other way. It's just so much of toil,
Too good. Too
and the
good.
rewards are great. Even
Oh,
if it means sitting here and someone telling you, your pictures are lovely. I think deep down we just do it for the validation.
so true, so true, so true. Awesome, awesome. And when you had decided that you want to continue with your chef or your cooking passion, right? Chef is is a word very commonly used now. I don't know whether it was it was coined at that time, or was it something that was pursuable as a career.
For women, it was very unusual in the sense, once my college was very progressive as well. So
Okay,
they never sort of tried to veer you in a direction.
sure.
But towards the end, when we were being recruited and stuff, I would get a lot of feedback saying, listen, for your post graduation, just do pastry. It's so much easier. You'll settle down, you'll get married, you'll want kids. Pastry is just easier. You don't have those hours. And I was always what they call a hot kitchen chef. And I was always interested in that. So
Wow.
pastry just didn't appeal to me. I didn't have that level of creativity.
Okay,
Or pastry is again very, very nuanced. It's a science.
got it.
And at least in food, you can just have more fun.
Of course, of course.
So no, it was definitely not a viable career option for a woman. No,
And did your family, I mean, I'm sure, did your family must have supported you for it, but tell us,
100%.
tell us about people who didn't you support you through it. मतलब वो कौन सी मासी थी, वो कौन सा चाचा था जिसने बोला था कि
Arey,
क्या होगा.
so my God, it was actually, and he was so dear to me, my father's elder brother, my taji. He said, "Acha, khana banayegi logo ke liye." I mean, he was fine as far as she did it for family and friends,
Right,
but why would she cook for people?
people.
So I'm so till date. I mean, I'm so thankful to my parents for saying that this is what she wants to do, and we'll see. We'll
Beautiful.
see. Dekhiye, bhai sahab, it's a degree course.
Correct.
Worst case scenario, she'll still have a bachelor's and she can pursue something else in master's.
Of course, of course.
So they also had that practical sense. I didn't come home after 4 years with the diploma. I respect that. I didn't look at the value of it then.
Sure.
So other than that, of course, at hotels were very difficult.
Did,
My first job, I wouldn't
I
want to
was
name
I
it.
was
It was
just about to come that okay degree पूरा हो गया कैसे मारा मारी करके you finished your your degree and this what was the first job like. I mean, was
um,
Instagram there when you first started?
no, not at all. I'm talking about
So how
98.
did job interviews happen? How does someone whose job is to make people eat tasty food, what's the conversation like between you and the interviewer? क्या अच्छा खाना पकाया हुआ ना? मतलब
नहीं नहीं कुछ
then
ऐसा नहीं था because for us when we were graduating, the recruiters at that year were mainly airlines.
okay.
So it was going more towards service, and
Ooh,
they were international airlines, and I was just wondering, that won't really work for me, even though there was an option of airline kitchens and stuff like that. It was just too mass produced. I realized I'll be given a recipe, I won't be
right.
able to do what I want to do. Going back to my first job, so this was very, very big hotel in Delhi. At
Okay.
that time, it had 9 specialty kitchens, which was unheard of. That means 9 specialty restaurants. And so nobody came to recruit us. I had to go look for a job. So I literally had to walk in and say, listen, you have a French restaurant and this is what I'm interested in.
Wow.
And if I recollect, they had a Frenchman who was the executive or the chef, the cuisine for that restaurant. I just assumed in his head, he must have thought, why would I get a brown girl?
Sure.
And it's fine. Looking back, it's fine because
Right.
the trajectory it took made me who I am. So I can kind of process that as a grown up. As a
Beautiful.
younger person, I think I was very bitter. But I got a job in their Indian kitchen,
Wow. Okay.
and I had to do tandoor. Tandoors are made for men.
Got
A woman can pretty much just fall in, but you do it. And I had an excellent executive chef, or rather, chef de cuisine, which is the
it.
executive chef of that kitchen.
Okay.
He was as they call a masalchi. He
Okay.
was not from a professional college.
Okay.
And that made all the difference because he came with sensibilities that a professional college doesn't give you.
Beautiful.
You know,
Beautiful.
he made you feel like you were not that precious. Because you came out feeling so entitled, like you had achieved something just by getting a degree. This guy was like, why do you keep asking me for a recipe? You're not making medicine, you're
Correct.
making food. Feel it,
Feel
hear
it.
it, smell
Beautiful.
it, see it. So here it was literally that if you have your back towards the pan and the sizzle is cutting off, that thing is burning, turn around.
Wow.
You know, and it was just such a great first year. And I don't know, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the audience. I just want to take the liberty of
Go ahead.
saying
Speak your
we are
heart.
so sensitive now. But back then, he made me grow a thick skin and grow a spine because he would say, 11 बजे के बाद मेरे से मत बात करना, because he would have had a drink or two.
Wow.
To a point where you would say, Chef, we had a dish called Hasina Banno Kebabs.
Okay.
I would say, Chef, दो हसीना बनो कबाब. तुम कोई भी कबाब लगा लो, हसीना बन जाएगा.
Wow.
Today, you would misconstrue that. It would become a thing.
Okay.
You did not have that liberty. You needed to stick to this, see it through, climb, grow somehow without, rustling too many feathers. So
Beautiful.
I'm thankful. I'm fine with it. I don't ever remember feeling weird about it or anything. I mean, it's fine.
Beautiful. In
And I
fact,
tell my teenage daughter, she freaks. She's like, oh my God, how'd you put up with it? And I said, I'm glad I did,
so true, so true. You know what? Again, I'll be very honest. I have a list of questions that I ask all our, all our guests, and this one is in most specific, right? That how was your first experience with your job? You've been the most honest and transparent one. Let me tell you that. You
It was horrific, but I needed it, sort
Of
of
course,
thing.
of course, of course. It was like the movie Padosan, right? Experience versus skill.
Oh,
Right?
yes.
That's what's fighting. Finally, experience wins. Beautiful, beautiful, awesome. So, how long did you stay over there for?
Just about a year and a half, because I realized my skills were not those.
Okay.
Though, again, you see so many things differently in retrospect. It was so important to have done that because uh, cooking isn't just one thing. It's not just one technique. It's not just one school of thought. It's just so nuanced. It's like medicine, if I can take the liberty of saying that you're learning all your life.
Right.
So it was so important to have done that bit. And later I realized I had studied coal, and I could apply that to a lot of things I would do in terms of European food. I knew how to work with coal. Very small things, but they come back to you, and
Right.
you're thankful for that journey. So I just stuck around with hotels for a couple of years. I found them very biased. I found them very suffocating. And I also realized the hierarchy was such that it would take me really long
Huh.
to reach, as they say, you join a company and you join as a manager. One day you'll be general manager.
Of course.
So it would take me very long to become an executive chef.
Wow. Wow.
And I really am not you also introspect.
Correct.
I'm not somebody who can trample. I'm not
Sure.
I'm not that aggressive.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that's actually a lacune. You need to be aggressive.
Of course.
So I was just lucky that I understood my limitations.
Right.
I could cook, but I didn't have that drive.
Right.
So in that respect, it just made more sense that I take a look into other aspects of food.
Okay.
I was very lucky to get a huge photography project with a photographer where I was the stylist.
You were
And
the
that was a
stylist for a photography project.
huge, and it was Getty Images. Back
Oh.
in the day, they're still the number one. But back then, stock was huge.
Huge, of course.
You weren't commissioning photo shoots. If you were looking at generic imagery like pasta, pizza, more or less they looked the way
Correct.
you'd produce them.
Of course.
So you'd go to Getty.
Right.
And India was where all the content was being outsourced to, apart from travel, obviously. So the 30,000 images, it would just take you 2 years to produce 30,000 images.
Wow.
So it was excellent exposure because suddenly I just had a portfolio where I was cooking all kinds of food and making it look pretty, figuring out how to source ingredients.
Right.
In the early mid 2000s, not realizing that when I do hit up a kitchen at some point, all this data will help me, all these contacts to source ingredients will help me, and I will go back to them for an actual kitchen.
Wow.
So it was, like I said, so often we question the things that we are, what we say, are made to do in life.
Of course.
And it's only when you reach your 40s do you realize perhaps they were a good thing.
They were a good thing. In fact, from my first job and from my third job, I was actually fired, right? And today I thank the guy. Thank God you fired me.
Yeah,
Been
I
a
get it.
blessing. It's been a blessing. It just creates a different, kind of energy that you can't share it in anyone, right?
Yeah.
It's just there inside. कि मैं इसको दिखाएगा, right?
Yeah.
And it has always helped. It has always helped.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So coming towards, you're a chef. You started learning. You were always passionate about food. And by the way, I've heard this for the first time. This is absolutely naive of me that coal stuff. I like, matlab, wo to part and parcel hai na. Matlab, that's so naive of me. But when you said it, I'm like, yeah, it's actually different treatment.
Art. It's art.
Absolutely. So true. So you learned cooking, right? You tried to work in multiple hotels. And then what happened?
So then, by the time all this got over, social media was coming in, and there was a lot of requirement for written content. And just by default, I've always been a very avid reader. I've always been very fond of writing.
Okay.
Again, back then, there were no undergrad courses, as far as I remember, for journalism and stuff, because that would have been my second option had I not made it into culinary school. So I just had this flair, and I would write a lot of content for the hell of it. Facebook became huge. Restaurants started having Facebook pages. And I suddenly started having all these people who I knew reach out and say, listen, I'm opening a restaurant, but this girl who writes, and she doesn't know anything about food. So can you just do the captions? Right. I don't even remember if they were called captions back then. They were called something. Right. They're called captions for Instagram now, or whatever. So I was doing that. I was writing a lot of articles. There was a lot of content being created for in-flight magazines. And it's really interesting. Yeah, very interesting stuff, because in-flight magazines need to be superbly generic, because you're reaching out to an audience, you have no clue who they are. No flyers, domestic, international, all that. So very interesting stuff like the 7 lost spices of India.
Wow.
And then you have the whole of the internet. And as a food person, you were just suddenly learning to translate it into content for someone to read. It was fascinating for me just to research it. I would have been happy just being the researcher. It was that interesting.
Correct.
So I was writing a lot of content, and then by that time, Facebook and Instagram were going on. And my brother was working on, he's an entrepreneur. He was working on starting his marketing agency.
Okay.
So he was like, you know what, just take over the content wing, because I'm going to get a lot of food clients. And one such client was this restaurant in GK that was new.
Okay.
So we had common friends. So I met up with the owner, and he, by the way, said, then, but why aren't you talking to me about the chef bit? So I said, I do a lot of consultancy already.
Okay.
I'm just very fascinated by the written bit.
Okay.
And I don't know how many menus I have inside me left. Like, I need to recharge myself. I can't be putting out the same food in multiple outlets.
Sure.
And we were never trained to be entrepreneurs. At least my generation, we didn't come out thinking we'll open our own.
Okay.
So I had no such leanings.
Got it.
So I started with working on content for them, working out their Facebook page, their Instagram page.
Right.
And just very subtly got involved in the kitchen. Realized that this kitchen is structured for someone like me.
Wow.
They realized that this fit was perfect. The
Beautiful.
team and I clicked, and this is like 7.5 years back,
Okay.
and that was it. And then it was so natural. So that's another message actually. If it takes you 16 years to meet your goal
Right.
and the perfect place for you and those many jobs, then that's fine.
And that's
It's
fine.
absolutely fine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And today, can I say that you are the not a co-founder, but you are a partner at that restaurant?
I can say more than that. I ended up marrying the owner. So yeah.
Beautiful.
I mean, we
Beautiful.
were both single and we were just doing this project that we both loved. So
Right.
I still tell him I do not own it. I have no fascination with owning it. I will love my work less if I own it. I am not an entrepreneur. I'm not a businesswoman. I do not know how to own things. I definitely know how to run them.
Sure. Sure.
So yeah, I'm much, much happier being just the chef. So no, I'm not a partner. I don't want to be one. Or the co-owner, not at all.
Too good. Too good. So you guys decided to, get married. Where was Instagram there? Was your
Oh
social,
yeah,
right?
very much.
Your
7 years
social
back.
presence
Yeah.
start showing up? I mean, how did I mean, you started an Instagram account. We all did, right? You opened it and one day you decided that I'm going to be a creator, started posting pictures, and you had 35,000 followers. No, it didn't happen that way.
No,
Right?
not at all.
How
10
did
years
that actually
ago,
happen?
10 years ago, it was literally because I used to find Facebook very exhausting.
Okay.
Facebook always expected you to have a certain standard of living. I don't know if it was versus your peers
Sure.
or you were just expected to travel, expected to have nice things, expected to have, a perfect this. I used to think like I didn't have the bandwidth to banter that much.
Sure. Sure.
I was there. It was very exciting to reconnect with like college friends and
Right.
school friends and kids we grew up with. But beyond that, I didn't think it had the visual merit that Instagram did.
At Instagram, right? Beautiful.
And I felt it immediately. Like the moment Instagram happened, I was like, oh my God, I have all these pictures. And a lot of pictures you co-own,
Right.
especially when you do photo shoots, not for brands and stuff, but
Okay.
like when you're just a lot of photographers will say, yeah, let's just do a shoot. Yeah, I need to fix this lighting. I need to figure out this lighting. And I'm like, yeah, I'm free. Let's do it. So
Huh.
you would have this random content just lying with you and nowhere to actually showcase it.
Beautiful.
So it was absolutely by chance. But I was very certain this was the next big thing. I was also very certain it was going to eat Facebook alive.
Wow. Wow.
It was just really pure at that time.
Right.
And it was literally meant for this, that time again, a niche community like us, middle-aged, yet being able to produce, novel sort of
Of course. Of course.
visuals and stuff like that.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So
I'm going to pause you over here for just 1 minute. This is the handle that we're looking at, right? This is beautiful.
oh shit.
This is
When I look at it like this.
beautiful. I mean, this is magical. Magical. I mean, I'll, I'll just in a moment I'll come to issues that I have with my taste, right? But this beautiful lobster. This is lobster, right? This is lobster or prawns.
These are a cross between the two, actually.
Oh, okay, okay. So again, it's been ages I've had lobsters and crabs. But beautiful. What a page, yeah. What a page. And let's just for the sake of it, right? Let's just look at another account as well, just for an apples to apples, right? Just look at the difference between the quality of the two pictures. Yeah. I mean, again, everyone has their own audience, everyone has their own style, but this is so Indian, it's so desi, right? That's the style that she's maintaining, right? Versus
yeah, but she can have a very interesting hashtag. Her hashtag could very well be "Go here, eat this."
yeah,
So
absolutely.
she's got a very, very specific messaging and it works for her. So she just basically tells you, go here, eat this.
Eat this.
My messaging was entirely different. In fact, it was very self-involved.
Okay.
So I'm very surprised that it worked out the way it did, because in my head, I never did it for anybody.
Beautiful. That's fantastic thing that you shared. In your head, you've never done it for anyone. Beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
because there was just
Look at
like,
this
even
picture.
now, so many people tell me.
Whenever I get excited, I use words like "this is madness," right? Look at this picture, right? You're decorating your, what are these sponge cakes?
They are these Australian, it's like they're like lamingtons. It's their coconut cake. It's very,
Got it.
very
Got it.
popular there.
My budget
Oh no,
has
sorry,
only
these are
allowed
from
me.
London.
Got it.
These
My
are
budget has only allowed me to try Pune sponge cake, right? So
no, these are penny cakes. These are from England. Yeah.
got it.
So this was a very interesting. No, then I have to talk about this friend of mine, actually, because she actually started giving me more direction, because she said, you just sit around posting these random recipes. Do you even care if people make them? It's not like I didn't care.
Right.
I didn't think. I never sat down and thought, will someone make it? For me, it was I made it. I'm not going to use it in my restaurant because it's Japanese,
Right.
or, South American. So I'm just going to put it out there and see if someone feels like doing something different.
Beautiful. Fantastic. Why did you use the Christmas tree around it?
Must have been around December. Also, we're very Christmas obsessed. I'm from a convent, so.
Got it. Super. So you started posting these pictures. Did you ever advertise your handle to get more likes, more followers, or anything of that sort? Never?
No, because generally I'm actually a very private person. Okay. So there'll always be pictures of me or my family on like an occasion.
Okay.
So like a birthday, which is more like, you have to, if you don't have an Instagram birthday, you don't have a birthday, right. That sort of thing, or an anniversary. Right. So I used to find very uncomfortable to put myself out there.
Got it. Awesome. So let's come at your your journey as a content creator / influencer, right? And how do brands approach you, right? This is the main crux of our episode today, right? That how do we? So I'll tell you what happened for everyone. I called up Parul and I said, "Hi Parul, how are you doing?" She's like, "Hi, who's this?" And like, "Imran here from 1K Founders. This is what I do, right? This is what my wife does, and we need your help." The first thing you said is that I don't charge, right? I won't charge you, right? Something you said those words, and I was like, "Ek minute, hello, yeah, hello, wrong number," to nahi lag gaya, right? Things like those. And we spoke for almost 26 minutes, right? When I ended your call, I ran to my wife, like I spoke for 26 minutes. And what was your thought after we spoke that this guy called me up, right? He wants me to create some content, post it on my social, whatever, right? What was going through your mind?
There were some things that are usually a hook for me. Because I've seen my husband's journey as an entrepreneur. So I have a tremendous respect for people who have guts, who say, you know what, this is what I love and I'm going to do this. I think they deserve all the support in the world. Also, because I never invested any money in reaching where I've reached.
Sure.
In terms of numbers, I don't think I have the right to ask for any. Like, it's happened. It's by default. A lot of people come to our restaurant, they meet me. I write a lot in the local circles of chefs and all. We are all very good friends. We all relatively famous,
right,
in our little world.
Of course.
So why not? I mean, if that works for somebody and if that helps somebody, it's still in the gamut of the things I enjoy doing. It's food. Wow. So then what's the problem? Yeah, with commercial brands or with large brands, I learned this from a very dear friend of mine. And she said, you know what? They're just going to walk all over you. Quote a price, quote a ridiculous price. They'll vanish.
Wow.
And it works. Sometimes I'll just be like, oh yeah, I take a lakh of rupees for a reel.
Wow.
I'm never going to do the reel. I'm never going to take that money. I just don't know how to politely tell you that I'm not that impressed with, how fantastic your
Correct.
brand is.
Correct.
So sometimes they say, okay.
Okay.
And then it's like, oh my God, now I'm stuck. But none of them have ever sensitized their agencies or their teams on how to deal with people. They tend to make you feel like they're doing you a favor.
Wow.
I don't think that's fair in any aspect in life.
Beautiful.
Even when you have your help at home, it's quid pro quo. You pay money for a service.
Right.
Nowhere in that equation are there any favors going on.
Of course. Of
So
course.
for you to come here because you have X crore turnover and think that I'm obliged or I'm impressed or I need this money or whatever is not fair.
Wow.
It could be all those things. I could need the money. I could be very impressed. All that is, but it is not a given. You can't treat somebody like it's a given.
Wow. Wow.
You picked up the phone and you said, this is what we do. And this is what my wife does. And you named all these products that we grew up with. That was another big thing.
Of course.
I totally get swayed by that stuff. If someone tells me, you remember this, we're bringing it back.
Correct. Correct.
Or we're doing a version of it. I get so excited.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So, and there are enough people out there. My saying no is not going to harm anybody.
Of course. Of course. Of course.
So recently there was a dairy brand that reached out and they said, so what do you charge for, you have to use one of our cheeses.
Okay.
I said, okay, fine. What would you charge? So I said, what do you need to be done? You need to do a recipe. So I said, I will charge you the cost of that recipe. So whatever I buy, because I don't want to spend. It doesn't make sense to me. So they'll be on actuals.
Sure.
I'll give you the bills. Yeah. Excellent. Fine. Let's go ahead. You choose which cheese and you decide what to do.
Okay.
Within 45 minutes, I had an email that said, you need to tell us by 5 p.m. what recipe it is. We'll let you know the next day if we agree with it or not. If we don't, then you have to come up with 3 more options.
Wow.
Then we'll vet that and get back to you. Then you'll make the reel, give it to us for to see if it's viable, like if it suits our brand profile. You'll make the necessary changes or redo it. By then, I was like so exhausted. I was like, are you serious? Where is the realism?
Of course. Of course.
Which audience will look at it and not think this is by design?
This is by design.
Or construed. And food should not be. Food should not be.
You remind me of my dad telling me a story that a guy goes to a restaurant and he says, while walking in, he tells the guard, मेरी बाहर साइकिल है वो उसका ध्यान रखना, पंखा चालू कर, टेबल पे पटका मार, एक कप चाय ला. That's just a very crass way of putting it. Right?
Yeah. So I wrote back to them. I said, there's no time lost, but I'd like to opt out of this because where is the win-win?
Correct.
And then I wish they had just started this conversation with, there's going to be a lot of work.
Of course.
It would have just saved that sweet girl all that time to send that mail and me to read it.
Correct. Got it. So what you're saying is that there are brands who you charge, and then there are brands that you are more open-hearted towards. Right?
Absolutely. There are brands I would charge. I'm yet to, but I'm certain they would be.
Got it. Awesome. And when, let's say you decide to charge, right? How would you want to get paid, right? Would you want to get, because this is a very common question that comes up whenever we discuss influencer marketing. When would you, as a content creator and influencer, as someone who, especially you, right? Sorry, I'm just going to take a pause over here. Go back to an earlier conversation. Aditya, who's one of the co-founders of Qoruz, he had come on the show and he told us beautifully the difference between an influencer and a content creator, right? When people create a lot of content, they by default start getting audiences, right?
Exactly.
But those audiences are following the content, right? They are not getting influenced by the content creator, right? But in your case, right, I can clearly see that you are an influencer, right? You're not a content. I'm being very honest, right? Because you're doing it for yourself. You're not charging a brand. You're not doing it for money. If it comes your way, you'll be like, yeah, whatever, right? So your audience is genuinely looking at what you're creating, right? So that kind of puts you in that influential bucket, right? That number is small because you've not paid attention to it or whatever, right? But the small universe that you created is genuinely in getting influenced by what you do, right? So that's where it is. Now, let's say inshallah tomorrow this grows to 100,000, 500,000, a million, right? How would you want to work with these brands, right? Small brands like the Brown Town, where we are struggling to reach 1 lakh versus 5 lakhs versus, another brand which is doing in crores. How would you charge them? Let's say you decide to charge, aaj ke baad paise lage, right? So how would you charge? Would you charge, no, I need everything upfront. I'm not doing any barters anymore, right? I need everything upfront and free kaam shuru hoga. Or here is the delivery, and you pay me if you are happy. How would that conversation happen?
I've never really thought about it.
Okay.
But I feel like the most logical thing to do would be, like, by now everybody has jobs. You have a fair idea what your market price is.
Okay.
And I suppose it would be very fair to see what kind of man hours would be put into the content you're creating for that particular brand.
Okay.
And translate those man hours into a value.
Okay.
I don't really see any other way to do it, because without again becoming very self-obsessive, because there is no rate card for such things. Also,
you won't believe it.
No, there is. I know.
Yeah.
There is.
We had actually received 5.
No, I've seen many.
Season 1.
Yeah. No, there are. But what I meant was in general.
Okay.
When when a kid is becoming an engineer, you say in the first 5 years, this is the projection of the salary you're going to make. In that respect, there's nothing set in stone.
Of course.
It's a very personal, everybody has one. So that's what it is.
Correct.
But I also personally feel tremendous pressure in ROI. So I struggle with that. Like, even if I was to say XYZ, I'm not really going to be able to promise you when you'll make it back.
Wow.
So in that I mean, these are things that people need to actually consider before they ask, as well as before they dish it out.
Right. So true. Got it. Because
these are the monsters we've created. I mean, rather than sitting here and saying, it's such a menace, these influencers, and you can't even trust if the product's good or not. They just get paid, so they push it out. We are the people paying them. It's the same lot of people. It's all coming around the same universe.
So true. And in my earlier in the season 1 of the 1K Founder show, there were a few influencers who would say that, we are happy doing a barter, right? Send me 3 products. I'll do a shoot. I'll share the videos. I'll share the reel. I'll do, blah, blah, blah. Thank you very much, right? That's the conversation. However, as responsible business owners, right? Sometimes it feels that influencer is going to put in time, money, energy, and you can't put a women's slider in the plate. Right, that person needs to pay bills, right? एक बहुत महंगा कैमरा खरीदा होगा, उसका EMI होगा उसके ऊपर, right? Be so considerate that at least put something across. Just don't say, oh, my product bheja na, ab teko video bana ke do. It doesn't work that way, right? Be very considerate about it. So that was at least my experience in dealing with, again, micro influencers, right? Again, in the range of 1,000 or 10,000 to 50,000. The moment I went towards, the slightly larger ones, the 1 million to 5 million bracket, right? The price range went through the roof.
Yeah,
Went
full,
through the roof.
absolutely.
I mean, you're talking about 20 lakhs for a reel.
Yeah,
एक भाई मेरे घर का 10 महीने का EMI है वो. So I mean,
that's true.
right. So that was at least my experience on dealing with, and again, there are no guarantees, right? There are no
No.
guarantees, right? So
That's the thing. Also, I feel like there is no course in sensitizing on how to handle these situations. So even in terms of barter, especially the younger kids in agencies, if you hand them this project saying micro influencers tum karo kyunki tum intern ho, and a slightly senior person looks at it, you have no idea who you're reaching. There has to be a grace about it.
so true.
So when you're reaching out even with barter, why do you naturally assume this is lacking from that person's life?
So true.
If you're reaching out to me with a case of beer, at least do your homework. We order like 45 for a weekend for our restaurant. I don't make me say these things.
Correct.
So there has to be a very internalized dialogue that,
Right.
listen, how am I going to, if I can't handle each influencer myself, because I'm running a business, I have a team doing it. There has to be a conversation about the language going out.
Of course.
So there are certain agencies, our own family-owned agency. There are a couple of others. I have tremendous respect for them. There's one mainly women-led. They reach out to me so often. It'll never mention what is expected of me. Ma'am, we've launched this new gin. Loved the cocktail you did last week, whatever. Love to send you a bottle.
Wow.
There is a grace. They
Beautiful.
also know that bottle is going to hang around my neck like a noose, because I'm going to be like, oh God, ab ye 4,000 rupees ki bottle de di inne mere ko. But there's nothing spelled out. It's so graceful. It's tricky because you could also bump into people who'd be like, okay, thank you very much, and walk away.
Right.
That's the risk you take.
Beautiful.
But come on, you leave such a good taste in that person. Like I'm telling you about them. That's how good they made me feel.
Absolutely.
I'll probably go a step further for them.
Beautiful. What's the best message you've received from an unknown person for the first time, and you were like, I want to do it for you for free? For free is the wrong choice of words, but at no cost, I'll do it for you. What's the best message you've received?
I don't recollect. There were so many. I've actually been very fortunate because I've always bumped into nice people. Who was it? I've worked a lot with like home chefs who have catering units from home.
Okay.
And when she ended up becoming a very dear friend of mine, but before that, she has a Malaysian kitchen out of Gurgaon, and just the food she sent me with nothing, no expectation, nothing.
Okay.
Just this lovely Malaysian feast, and she just said, "Enjoy."
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, it's so beautiful that I need to take pictures of this, and I need to tell people about it. And we've gone on to become very, very close friends. She just flew in from Kuala Lumpur. She got me a bag full of ingredients.
Wow.
But that's how these relationships develop. It was just so random to just say, listen, I make this food and I just want you to have it.
Beautiful.
And I mean, that's like a language of love.
Beautiful. I'll tell you the message that we had drafted to reach out to you, right? This was a nice message. Again, we are so naive, I'm telling you. Hey, ABC, I run a brand called the Brown Town and would love to collaborate with you. Do check out my website and let me know if you would be interested. We primarily sell rusk and cookies. Looking forward to hearing back from you. Cheers, Imran. Now I'm like,
That's lovely. No, no, no. That is lovely. Because, you remind me of there's this coffee roaster in Noida.
okay.
I don't know if they're siblings or a couple. I mean, they're a lady and a gentleman.
Yeah.
They've sent me such a beautiful message on Instagram, and it's Noida. And I have, I've had COVID in the middle. I've traveled a little bit. My daughter had her boards. Just 3 months they've flown. And then they sent me another message, and I'm feeling so guilty for not having time to show up. And I don't want to sound like that person who says, no, I hadn't had time. Like, come on. No, you can't possibly be that busy. So this is that message. I would have responded anyway. Because
Really?
they was just, 100%, come on.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Then I never not reply to a message.
Hey,
Worst.
you as a person,
Yeah.
you as a person, right? But I'm saying that generally for this message, right? You work with a lot of influencers and brands, right? As a general influencer, would you reply back?
100%.
Got it. Got it.
Because whether I'm looking at it for trying out something new,
Okay.
or I'm looking at being the first person to report that, a lot of influencers feel that
Right.
they want to be the first one to say, listen, I found something cool.
Got it.
Or looking for a quick buck. Either way, it works. What's the harm? Take that step, reply, and explore further. After that, the conversation may or may not work out. But I don't think an influencer can reach anywhere without at least saying a basic courtesy of responding.
Of course. I'll back it up with numbers. Aditya says, so again, Qoruz allows us to communicate with influencers, right, on their platform and off their platform. On their platform, right, it takes 3 days to get a response back from an influencer, right? Influencers intentionally do not reply back for 3 days. Right. I'm like, whoa, matlab bahut dhanda calling and you saying, no, 3 din tak jawab nahi dega. But he's like, yeah, that's the standard reply time. I'm like, okay, fair enough.
Okay, that's okay. Wow.
Yeah. Awesome. Did you see the data that I had shared before you actually
did.
on stage, right? So
I did.
That's again quick check on that again, right? Just to share it again. 25% people, the number of people who saw 25% of our horrible video was 1.5 lakh people. 100,000 people saw it for 50%. 50,000 people saw it for 75%, and almost 20,000 people saw it 100%, right? And again, the kind of comments that we've got, I have to constantly keep that ad open and delete. So yeah, that awesome. While again, sorry, one more question. Sorry, a few more, but last on this, on grilling you, right? I'm really sorry. But how much time do generally you take, right, to give back the content? Or what's the industry standard? Follow a standard?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I really have no idea. Because I don't generally communicate that much with like other influencers per se.
Okay.
In my demographic of those many numbers, I have a couple of friends, but we work on very different principles. Principles in the sense of creation of content.
Right.
So I've always been very, very erratic. Okay. So one of my best friends, she's also, I think she's also a chef. She has about 25,000 followers. But she's also done a lot of live classes, Zoom classes, cooking classes over COVID. So her numbers are a little more skewed towards a certain demographic of people who are consciously looking to learn.
Okay.
Who aren't necessarily looking at the images because they're pretty.
Got it.
Or discovery. And her cuisine's also very specific. Now I'm very random.
Right.
So she put me on this very interesting trajectory that I'm going to stick with. And she called it hashtag TV dinners because I'm obsessed with food shows.
Wow.
And I consume food shows like nobody else. Like I'll watch them on repeat.
Got it.
And there'll be episodes that I'll be hooked to, and I will like actually narrate and I'll have anecdotes and stories. So she came to a point where she turned around and said, why don't you just cook from them?
Wow.
Because these are food shows, they're not recipe shows.
Right.
Not the traditional Sanjeev Kapoor kind. So if you're talking about a food show, we have a fantastic Indian food show. The production value is spectacular. It's called something and Anya Kahaniya. I'm forgetting the first two
But you were
words.
going to say Amul Taste of India?
No, that's on Facebook, I think. This is on Netflix.
Wow.
It's excellent. It's an excellent show. It's got Mr. Pushpesh Pant, who's a food historian. He's in a lot of episodes. Something Anya or Anya Kahaniya. I don't know how I've forgotten. So I cook from every episode because they don't give you recipes. You know, they talk about, they take us, like they took Lucknow and they talked about the food nuances of Lucknow. So then I realized, I remember my father used to love the Kali Gajar ka halwa, and it's Kali Gajar ka season, like that. So we've just extended that. Now I'm cooking. I'm going to finish from a show called Somebody Feed Phil.
Okay.
He goes to different places around the world and he eats, but he never gives you a recipe. Raja Rasoi or Anya Kahaniya. Thank you so much, Mr. Sharma. Yes.
Boss Shirish, तुम क्या कर रहा है? Do you watch this show or did you just find it?
No, it's excellent. Like really. So yeah, just open Netflix. Exactly. So that, and then now I'm doing Somebody Feed Phil. And after this, there's this series called Street Foods.
Okay.
Just dropped a new season. So they've done street food India, they've done street food Latin America, they've done street food USA.
Got it.
So it's very self-indulgent, yet very giving.
Beautiful.
It's so much fun because it's a twofold thing.
Of course.
So if you find a hook like that, then you'll never run out of like ideas.
Beautiful.
I don't even know why we started this conversation.
That's okay.
I've forgotten the thread.
So have I. Now, when we spoke on the phone, you also mentioned about Nagin sauce.
Oh yeah, no. So that's the message I got on Instagram. It's exactly like yours. Hi, we are so and so. So they very discreetly do put the handle of the product. Why not? So obviously you should follow it. That's graceful. They put a handle there. You know, so I would do that and said that, you know, we have a new sauce and we would like to send you some. Could you please share your address? And then you just look at the profile of the person. It's a legit profile. It's usually a young person who works with the brand or the agency. And that's good enough for me. I'm not really a Z category person that I can't give my address. I live with a full-fledged family. It's fine. So I did that. And I'm assuming the sauce will show up. If it doesn't, I'll end up forgetting about it. That's it.
Wow, beautiful. I'm going to pass on your message to Arjun right away. Got it. Few last ending question. Which is your favorite book?
Oh, when I was younger, it was The Fountainhead.
Wow.
It's by Ayn Rand. My father gave it to me. I had these lofty ideas of being pro-arch. Not realizing that he's a horribly selfish man and that you have to be born that way and you can't just become that way. I would have been much more successful if I had been, but and then when I grew up a little more,
I just love your punchlines. I'm telling you, I just love your punchlines.
And then it was Catcher in the Rye. I thought, please come in. That was spectacular.
Okay.
Now it's mostly food-based content. So I read a lot of food books. I read a lot of books by Anthony Bourdain. He's just such an engaging and fantastic author. Loads of fun, both food and fiction. So it's all kind of taken care of.
Got it. Beautiful. How much money do you think it requires to start an online business today? How much money? Again, you may have started, you may have not started, but gut feel. if you had to start an online business today, how much money do you think it would require?
Food. Food business.
Food business. Sure.
5 lakhs.
5 lakhs. That's what you
Yeah.
think. Okay.
I mean, I could do it in 5 lakhs. That's not what I can't say because but I could do it. If I was given a benchmark,
Got it. Got it. Got it.
I could do it.
Super. Super. And two more questions. One line for our visitors. One line for our viewers.
Thank you for showing up.
No, come
It was
on.
so nice.
No, yeah. No, not that one. So I'll tell you a general profile of who we are. We are mad people, right? We are entrepreneurs. We start at 10 in the evening. We go on to like 12:30 sometimes. In season one, a few episodes went on till 2:33 in the morning. Right? We are entrepreneurs trying to do something to help ourselves, to help society, to help our family, friends, eventually reach somewhere in life, right? One line of advice for us.
Sensitize. It's true. Sensitize yourself to yourself,
Okay.
to the people who work with you, to your allies, to the people you think can further your business. Because I sometimes feel in this drive and this ambition and the stress, entrepreneurs maybe at times forget the humanity of it, even to themselves. I don't think you guys are very kind to yourselves either.
So true. So true.
So because I see my husband's life. You think you being opening a restaurant. He was an engineer for 13 years. He came from a hospitality family and his mother said nothing doing. You're not getting into the same thing. Tum tyoharon pe bhi nahi hote ho, birthdays pe bhi nahi hote ho, weekends pe bhi nahi hote ho. He tried 13 years to be this, straight and narrow. And then he said, bas, I need to go back into what's in my blood.
Right.
And he started the restaurant. So I see his struggle every day. He's unkind to himself. And that extends into not literally unkind, but you know what I mean.
Of course.
Just center yourselves. I'm not the only one. There are a lot of people like me who would love to promote what they believe in, what they like. I'm so excited about that toy brand. One of my chef's son is turning 1.
Wow.
And I want to go check it out.
Beautiful.
I just want to give him something unusual and not something like store-bought.
Of course.
So see, this is how it is. You just bump into good things.
You just bump into good things, good people. One last question. What is the most important question to you as of today? Can be anything. Spiritual, professional, personal. What's the most important question to you?
Sadly, it has to do with the insecurities that come with social media. And I feel very burdened by it, but am I enough? I'm able to handle it. I'm able to answer myself. I look at my lovely daughter. I look at my 80-year-old father. I look at my dogs. I look at my husband. I look at my business, my kitchen, and I'm fine. But that's a very big looming question for me very often.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Ah, Parul, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. So kind of you.
Fantastic session, right? Fantastic episode for us.
Thank you for having me.
Great learnings for those who are there. There are a lot of things to. Again, Parul may not have opened completely or has excessively opened up completely in some points, right? But if you try to understand what she's saying, it's just beautiful. Thank you so much, Parul.
Thank you, guys. Thanks,
Right.
everybody. Have a good night.
We are going to keep you posted, right? Once we receive our content, we're going to put it up on our social media, share it on as an ad, and we are going to show you the results of that.
Oh, right? How interesting. Thank you
Because
so much.
One, I did reach out to, again, I'm connected to the CEO of Quan, who manages a lot of celebrity influencers. And I asked him to get, again, so I have a few family members who are celebs, and I asked him to get me revenue numbers of my family members' posts. He like, brands don't share that. And like, if brands don't share that, then maybe we are undercharging. We don't know.
Yeah, so true.
So again, You've been on the show. You've been very transparent. We would like to show you, right, what we deliver with the content that you
What
are
fun.
with.
Let's do it.
Super,
Awesome.
super, super done. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you so much.
Have a great night,
Papa.
guys. Good
You too.
night.
You too.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye. Good night.
Bye.
Great session. Great session. Which means the message that we had drafted worked out bang on. Right. That was appreciated by someone who's very passionate about food. We looked for an influencer in the food and drinks category. We found all of them successfully. One of them is a chef, right? That brings me to an interesting point. If she genuinely likes the products that she will try out tomorrow, I'm going to create a new audience and target chefs, right? Because chefs would understand and they would not say that food is expensive, right? I get a lot of comments on our ad saying that your biscuits are very expensive, right? But maybe chefs is a category who would understand that these are expensive biscuits. Done hai ji, done hai ji, done hai. Cool hai. Chali. Thank you so much, guys. Great session once again. Good learnings from Parul. I'll look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow. Good night. Good night. Good night.